here is the Ring family and friends military history. And go ahead and come in for some close-ups here. This is a Napoleonic campaign medal issued for the campaigns of 1799 to 1815. Everyone who basically showed up, French or otherwise, civilian or military. It's passed down to the family. My grandfather, whose family came from Alsace-Lorraine in Germany, we think one of his ancestors awarded this. We don't really know, but he did write a letter to the Smithsonian to identify it back in the old days, probably back in 1930s he wrote this letter. And he had identified and hung it in for many years, and we just consider it a passed down family heirloom, but it is a real Napoleonic campaign medal. It was also, interestingly, it was the first general purpose medal issued to all troops in the war. Prior to that, they really wasn't done that way. What we have here is a certificate. It's a thanks for coming to the Franco-Prussian War. And this is for Infantry Officer Ludwig Emil Hermann Edel. He was the first guy married to my great-grandmother, my mother's grandmother. They only married a couple of years and he died. But he was a sergeant in the Franco-Prussian War and came over here and married my great-grandmother. And that's a reproduction of the medal that would have gone with this certificate. We don't know much more about him. Now, there's a picture of a guy who's wearing a Civil War GAR medal. This is from my mom's stuff. This could be my great-great-grandfather. We really can't put a name to it, but it was passed down through the family, and he is a Northern veteran. And that family they were all from the Bowery in New York, got birth certificates, that kind of thing. But we can't put a name to him, but probably my great-great-grandfather. Anyway, from New York. And to go with that is a picture of a kid in a Zouave uniform. Same location, same family, and that kind of tied this guy to New York as being a Zouave. So that might be my great-great-uncle. We don't know. This is my dad's great-great-grandfather, who was a Civil War veteran. He enlisted in the Tennessee Cavalry. He deserted and went over to the northern side, got sent to a prison camp, and enlisted in the U.S. Army, in the Union Army. Galvanized Yankee. He went out west to Fort Leavenworth for the remainder of the war. And through oral history, he came home from the war. He was so lice-infested, they made him stay in the yard until they boiled his clothes and get him cleaned up. He was just too damn dirty. He had like 8 or 9 kids with that family. He disappeared one day. His dad's down in Bowituot County, Virginia. They thought he drowned in the river. They found out many years later when some of the kids applied for benefits due to the children of Union veterans that he went down the river 100 miles, started a whole new family. And 4 kids from that family served in World War I in the U.S. Army. 4 sons. This is my dad's dad, Jack Ring. His father, Tage Ring from Sweden. He was in the Swedish Navy as a conscript back around 1905. Tage Ring. That's a picture. It's a posed picture of him in a uniform. It's a postcard type thing. It's a very posed thing. Here's his World War I U.S. draft card. He came over to the U.S. in 1908. Here's his World War II draft card. I think I can get that now. But here's Tage Ferdinand Ring, and the person who signed him up for the draft was my father, who was a high school cadet at the time, working the draft board. So he registered for both drafts, but he didn't serve anywhere in the U.S. military, but he was Swedish Navy for a while. A conscript, probably had no real skills in there, but later became a tool and die maker. Here's a guy, here's a real war hero. This is Ralph Powell. He's a guy who dated my grandmother before she married my grandfather. That's a picture of him. He's a World War I Marine in this picture right here. Here's 2 more pictures of him. He was, here's a picture of him as a lieutenant colonel or major with my great aunt many years after the war, after World War I. Here's a postcard taken in Belgium of him, and it's addressed to my grandmother, 1919. We know he lived and I'm not sure how long he lived. We can't really find records of him, but he was my great-grandmother's pallbearer in '44, one of the pallbearers. So he kept touch with the family. Here's my dad's uncle on his mom's side. He was U.S. Navy in the 20s sometime, did one hitch and got out, but we don't know much more about him than that, but it's a nice picture. And he was in the Navy for, one tour, one hitch. Over here, the next pile. This is World War II centric. This is my dad as a high school cadet in World War II. And he went into the Army Air Corps. Here's his, some of the guys in his crew. That's Dad right there. He was navigator on Babs. And his pilot, actually, excuse me, that's Dad right there. He was a navigator. He got to the war right as the war ended. And he ended up flying for the OSS. Here's a frame I made up of his stuff from his career. There's some, captain's bars. The World War II flight officer, be a war officer today. The World War II navigator wing, summer and winter. The later navigator, or his master navigator here. Later post-war navigator wings. Here's a copy of his discharge, and you'll see on here, it says, flew as navigator on transport missions under the Office of Strategic Services, transporting personnel and general cargo between various areas in Europe. He got all around Europe in the post-war period. He got in some places. He was the first crew in a few places in Eastern Europe. He had a good time. And but OSS service is kind of cool. This is what they made for him when he retired. It shows his lieutenant bars, first and second, a picture of his retirement. All his ribbons, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Cold War. He got around quite a bit. And just, it's nice, it's a nice, brief military history. Okay, now I'll give you a little more, barely World War II. My grandfather, my mother's father, Albert Schmitz, he was the Fairfax County, he was the auxiliary police, which is civil defense, area warden for Great Falls. That's his pass for that. We have here a driver's license from Quantico. He helped wire a lot of buildings, electrician in Quantico when he built that building up. So he got around quite a bit, but he was area warden. I've got his pith helmet that he wore as area warden also. It's a World War II Marine Corps type pith helmet. Here's a friend of the family, Edward McClanahan, Lieutenant Colonel USAF. Now, during pre-World War II, he was an infantry officer. He served as commanding a Philippine company. And when the Japanese invaded, he stayed behind the lines and sent out intelligence. It was a planned thing where he took some supplies and whatever else and hid out in the woods for a couple of years. He was brought out by sub a couple of years into the war and was debriefed by a number of people, including, and he got to actually meet MacArthur for a few minutes during that process. He was a MacArthur fan the rest of his life. After the war, he went in the Air Force. He probably had enough of living in the woods, and he went in the Air Force, and I think he had a good time with that. Here's a guy, Keith Austin. That would be Dad's cousin on his mom's side. His mom was in Austin. He was a below-deck sailor, U.S. Navy. He was killed in the Battle of the Coral Sea. Not much more than that, but he died in the war in the Battle of the Coral Sea. Now, here's a friend of the family. This is Eric A. Kinderner. He was a Lottie gunner in World War II. And this is Lottie right there. He's uncle of a good friend of mine, and he died in '44 in the last big push when the Russians pushed into Finland, and he was killed by artillery. And we'd like to remember him because he was a Lottie gunner. He probably would have had a good life otherwise, but he was killed in '44 by Russian artillery. But after my own heart, he was a Lottie gunner. Now another uncle, this would be Dad's brother, Carl Ring. He went into into World War II, was a radio operator, and there's pictures of him in Japan, occupation duty, a lot of patches, ruptured duck, his ribbons, occupation ribbon, etc. He went on to serve in the NSA post-World War II. There was a Russian translator, and it's some fairly interesting stuff. He retired as a major. Now, he was some kind of unpaid, non-drilling reservist. I still didn't figure out what that was about, but he never really actively held the rank. He never really did anything with it, but he did retire as a major in, let's see, 1974. Okay. Go into the clearly post-war stuff. I'm in here somewhere. This is my graduating class of Marine Embassy Guards. That would be 1978 November. I'm in there somewhere. I got marked on the back, but no big deal. But I did 5 years in the Corps. Peacetime. Here's another Uncle Carl. It's my mom's brother Carl. He was in the military academy. I guess right around the Korean, I guess during the Korean War. He went to the military academy. He spent 2 years in the Coast Guard. I haven't got a picture of him in the Coast Guard, but he was 2 years active duty in the Coast Guard. My nephew Jason, my brother Ralph Boy, he is a former Ranger. He was Army Ranger, went to Iraq, did 1 tour there, and got out, but he was a Ranger in the wartime. Oops. And that is my discharge, Sergeant Marine Corps. How about that? Now here's Pete Taub. He is my brother Alan's wife's son. He was killed in Afghanistan, outside Bagram. 4 years ago this Christmas. He's an Army Staff Sergeant, Security Police on patrol, and they got him with a green-on-green bomb. Really a tragedy. I mean, young guy, 2 kids, all that. It's cost of war. Anyway, that is the Ring, Schmitz, etc., family, friend, military history. It's nice to have this stuff. It's fun to look at, interesting, but keep in mind, war's no fun. Okay.